to condense this over the coming weeks. It's just going to be called Friday Forums, because over the last 3.5 months, it's morphed into something that's not just assisting businesses with the gradual change in our economy and, of course, our health and our how we conduct ourselves, but it's also a great forum for very good quality and well-meaning guests, people that really have heart and intention to bettering our community, to have a forum on this podcast, these episodes that we're providing. So again, my name is Tom Osa. Thanks for joining us. This series is sponsored by the Workforce Development Board of Rockland County. The mandate really is just to create jobs in Rockland County, and basically try to bring as much economic activity and employment into the area as possible. And there's many various workforce development boards all across New York State. It's also sponsored by the Chamber Alliance of Rockland. That's a collection of 8 chambers of commerce across Rockland County. We work very closely together to try and build up commerce in individual communities. I'm very active in the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce, in Nanuet, New City, many different Chamber of Commerce that participate in this. I'm not sure if Debbie is on, Executive Director for the WDB. If not, I know Phyllis and Michelle are here.
Yes, sorry, Tom. Debbie is actually away this week, and so she asked me to sit in for her. And since I know Grace for a long time, I was delighted to go ahead and take her place. And I'll be happy to fill people in on a little bit about the Workforce Development Board when you're ready for that.
Wonderful. Well, please do so now. With a little brief introduction if you have time.
Sure. The Workforce Development Board is made up of agencies and businesses around Rockland County, and it is our mission to be able to assist in workforce development. We oversee the Career Center. The Rockland Works Career Center just opened on July 1st and is now going to be located in Nyack at the Rockland Bosse's building across the street from Nyack Hospital. And we look forward to providing a lot of virtual sessions for individuals all over the county who are seeking employment. We oversee, we try to provide a lot of resources for businesses around Rockland County, and we have a lot of tabs on our website, especially during these trying times, with resources for businesses. And Tom is bringing up our website right now. And the COVID-19 tab that you see on your screen, as you see, there are resources for businesses and for individuals who are seeking employment. So, and if you click on those, you'll be able to see resources from the Department of Labor for unemployment that has been so necessary. And we also provide information on PPP loans and all kinds of other things for our business community. We're here as a landing spot for people to be able to have an ability to connect with the chambers, and for us to be able to provide information and referral around the county. If there's any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. Also note that all of our past 15 Friday forums are located on the website. If you put your mouse over the news tab, or if you tap on the news tab, if you're on mobile, you go to Small Business Friday Forums. The link to join us on our Friday forums each week is located up at the top, along with the upcoming schedule. And then we have our various guests for the past 15 weeks on here, and corresponding documents along with the series. And last week we had New York State Senator James Skoufis on. I just actually saw him about an hour ago. He was doing a dedication of for first responders. Highland Falls did a tribute series of banners for those that were boots on the ground, first responders, nurses, ambulance corps, people that really just gave from their heart of their time and their efforts, despite the danger of COVID-19 throughout the past 3.5 months. So very appreciative of them. And again, thank you all of you for, who are here and took time out to join us in this series. So our speaker today, I'd like to introduce Ms. Grace Riario. She is the Executive Director of the Ramapo Catskill Library System. Grace, I had spoken with her earlier in the week, and just to, kind of like a behind the scenes thing, whenever we look to have another guest on the show, we usually speak for about 15 minutes, a half hour beforehand, just make sure all ducks are in order in terms of the format and presentation. And sometimes when we go over things, we have to tweak, I guess, the format to make sure that it's comfortable on both sides. It's like, the guest has to be comfortable with certain things. The moderator has to. Grace, you and I, we just started gabbing. We just started at it. It's like, So this is, I think this is going to be not just an informational session, but it's going to be very enjoyable, hopefully for all of us here. Just a little bit about Grace, some career highlights. So she's been in 20 years plus working in public college and school libraries. Right now you're the executive director of RCLS just up north from here. You got your MLIS from Queens College, MPA from Penn State University, treasurer for the New York Library Association, NYLA. And I know of NYLA because my girlfriend and I, we attended a conference up north, and there was a very interesting karaoke session that was that I performed up there. I hope you weren't privy to it, Grace. It was.
Well, they say librarians, we know how to have fun too, huh?
Seriously, and I think I'm in the right circle of friends as time goes on. So it's pretty cool. And you work with colleges, universities, a variety of not-for-profit organizations. So again, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tom. And Michelle, how are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the most heartfelt topic I have in my life today is libraries. I've been working for libraries for 28 years now, and I've worked for school libraries, for academic libraries, and I'm lucky enough to work with the 17 libraries in Rockland County. And I just want to tell you how important the work that we have done throughout the lockdown has been for our communities. Even though we have 17 libraries, you will think that they all do the same thing. They don't. Every single library does things differently depending on the community they're in. So some of the things that we did during our lockdown was depending on the community and their community needs. And it became pretty interesting to us how much people count on a library and the people that work in the library, and that we really don't need the buildings for the library to move forward. It's more about the people that work in those buildings and the connections that those people have done and managed to do throughout their career that made a difference. I mean, kids miss their children's librarians, adults miss just walking in and reading their paper and saying hello to someone. I think those relationships is what people really miss. So it was important for us to make sure that even though we were all at home, we still were together in some way.
Absolutely. And I just had a few things that we had talked about previously during our initial conversation on Wednesday. I had mentioned about how libraries make the community a better place. And it's I have an interesting quick story to provide, not very long, but so I started my business about 13 years ago. We do web development, and it was, and I'm happy to mention this, my previous job, I had actually gotten fired from that job. And it was because that I wasn't bringing in the numbers. And, I'm happy to admit that in hindsight, it was a good kick in the tuchus. Because it helped me to reorganize how I do things. The first place that I went to to start reorganizing how I do things was my library. And for the next 3 months, I spent time researching, looking into various things to make sure that I'm doing things right as I created a business way back when. So I have a huge in-depth gratitude to libraries in general. But it's so much more than that, because it's not just people that are, economically well off or not well off. Sometimes it's a resource for people just to kind of gain knowledge while they're trying to, meld into society a little bit better. So could you tell us about, in general, how libraries make the community a better place?
Well, I think that the one thing that libraries do well is be there when people need something, whatever that need is. Because sometimes you don't know the resources that your community has until you're faced with a need, whatever that will be. It would be you lost your job, you don't have food, you lost your home, somebody is sick, whichever that need is that has caused you to change your life in some way that is impactable. We have found that people come to the library just to have a connection with somebody, one, that you can ask questions to, that is not going to judge you, whatever you are in your life. And two, because we work together so well with organizations in our communities, we know which organization to send someone to that they will do best. For example, mental health. I mean, mental health right now during this lockdown was extremely important to us to try to help folks to feel that connection with somebody. So a lot of the libraries they actually make phone calls to folks and just to ask, how you doing? What is happening? How's the family? Do you need anything? And we wanted to make sure that we were able to reach out to those folks that may not have any other connection besides the phone call that we just made, and make sure that they know that there's other organizations out there that can help them. Even though their doors were not open, there's a lot of partners that we have that still do some good work, but it's the education part that we are missing. Folks don't know what is out there until they actually need it. And I think we are the centralized information hub. So people come to us to connect with other organizations that can do the job better than we can. Librarians are not educated enough to help someone with a mental health situation, but we know where to go. We know that the Mental Health Association is going to be there for that person. We know that we can call someone in that organization and they will let us know how to help this person better. And that's where I think we make the connections for people to do better in whatever the situation they're in at the time.
Would you say that during the past 3.5 months, and obviously the libraries had to shut down for a certain amount of time to make sure that all the proper protocols were in place, did you find, or did, through your contacts with the various members of the libraries, did it seem like people that needed the library, they felt, let's say, isolated in some way? Continue.
We have, I can say to you, we have certain populations that I'm sure Michelle probably encounters the same. It's the homeless population, right? There's a lot of folks that don't have a place to go, and the library is the place where they go. And they need somebody to interact with, to just talk to somebody, and there's no one else there. And the homeless population, I think, was hit the most. I think the second population, I will say, will have been the seniors, especially seniors that did not have a family member that can teach them how to use a device, right? Somebody that they're just by themselves. Not even somebody that lives in a residence when there's other seniors around. There's people that live by themselves at home that are pretty independent, but they need the social connection. And I think that was one of the biggest education for us of the impact we have on those folks, on the life of those folks. Also, the folks that don't speak English. There's a lot of languages out there. I can think of the Flinkelstein Memorial Library, for example. If you can think of a language in this world, I can guarantee you can find a couple of books in that library on that language. And they have created a lot of programs that are cultural smart. So they have created programs that help women get jobs in cultures that you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be in the same room with a man. So they have created training for these women to be able to learn English, to do better in a society that you need to learn English. You need to know how to pay a bill. You need to know what happens, and that cannot happen if it wasn't for a library. And I think those connections are what it was the most missing during this lockdown. I think the people-to-people connection was very much missed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just writing. I just got a few additional questions. And yeah, the social connection, I think it was absolutely missed, not just amongst libraries, but all of us.
I mean, the kids, I can tell you the story times. If you go, a lot of our libraries now have a YouTube channel, and you can watch the story times that happen live, how we read books to kids, and how we interact with the children in different crafts, and just having a teddy bear story time, bringing a toy to the environment and trying to interact with the child. I think it was incredibly impactful to those families.
And talking about that summer reading program and being able to implement it, even though we had a lot of changes in the libraries and such, that kind of ties into the advent of more digital services. And in a moment, we're going to switch over to a new format that we have called Rapid Fire, about several different questions that we'll ask you from the community. But you mentioned during when we first talked on Wednesday about why libraries care about the digital divide. Maybe you can
Well, I think the one thing that libraries' primary goal or mission is to give access to folks. That's our primary mission. And if you have a community members that do not have a computer, do not have a smartphone, do not have internet, the ability for them to access information, access books, educate themselves about whichever topic there's going on is very limited. And if you put that in top of economic situation, we had a number of folks that lost their job. So they couldn't afford any longer to have cable, right, to pay that internet bill. It was the internet or the food. I believe most folks will say food is more important, but they also lost that connection, right? And that was something that we libraries felt incredibly passionate about it for many, many years now. I mean, that's why we have Wi-Fi in our buildings. That's why if you drive through any library in Rockland County, I guarantee you will see people park in their parking lots because they need the Wi-Fi. And there was the only way they can get access to information is by watching something online. And it's really something that we need to think of it as a society. What are we actually doing for the folks that can't access internet? The divide between the people that have and have not, it has become quite wide. And libraries, to my point, are the people that care the most about this because this is our mission. Our mission is to provide you access, whatever that access is.
Absolutely. We have a few questions that came in from, I'm part of a Facebook group called the North Rockland Community. We'll be posting those momentarily, and we talked about the format before. Does anybody that is a participant in the meeting have any questions that they wanted to ask of Grace prior to our upcoming format in a few moments?
Well, Tom, I just want to add, I put it in the chat, but the app Libby has just been fantastic.
Thank you, Michelle.
I work with quite a few people that really can't afford to go out and buy books and can't afford to go out and buy materials. And the fact that they're able to borrow those using their library card, and it's really helped to get people through the pandemic, you know, because they're able to do that, and it's really been outstanding.
And Michelle, I also added that to our format for rapid fire, which I'm very excited about. I'll bring that up in a moment. But yeah, there's several different apps that I've learned of in the past year and a half that really are starting to bridge that digital divide. And we'll speak about it, some of them in a moment. Did anyone else have any other questions that they wanted to ask of Grace before we go into the next segment?
I have another question.
Yeah.
What do you see the libraries, what direction do you see the libraries going in? We've all kind of had to reassess given the pandemic and given the fact that once we re-enter the community fully, we may be doing things differently than we did before the pandemic. Do you have any thoughts about what direction you see the library going in after the pandemic that wasn't perhaps something you did before?
Well, I can tell you our online presence is going to be significant. I don't think that's going to go away. I also think that you're going to see libraries going out to community events a lot more than we ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And the partnership, as I said, with other organizations is probably going to increase more. Because the one thing we have noticed is, like, for example, you do workforce development, we do workforce development, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, you have more resources and equipment and people to do it. So what we're trying to do is just do the gap that you may not have. Like you do, I remember when we were working with the workforce development in Rockland, your hours were Monday to Friday until like 6 o'clock. And then we will do classes in the evening because people couldn't get to your office.
Yeah.
Or it became to a problem of always funding, of course. So funding happened, and then you had to close your hours on Saturday because you just didn't have the money. So we said, well, let's do some classes ourselves on Saturdays and evenings. Why? Because the workforce development couldn't do it those days and those times because of funding. So we said, well, we can do this and we can do that. So we partner together. It's about figuring it out what the other organizations do that we can also help out with. Not sort of like duplicate the work, but add to it and partner with the organization so we can expand the certain things that we know that we can do good about. And I know you helped us, you know, the workforce development in Rockland County helped us develop a few of the things that we provided. And it all had to do with funding. You know, funding is always a problem with nonprofits. We do really good work and then they pull the plug on funding. And then we have to try to figure it out how to meet those needs without having any money.
Right.
Yeah, and one thing I should note that is, I think, a positive development on the Workforce Development Board side is that I think at the beginning of July, and Michelle, maybe you can just clarify this. So Rockland BOCES is going to be significantly increasing its participation with the Workforce Development Board, specifically with career placement, career advisements. Is that correct?
Well, Rockland BOCES won the RFP, and we did have a career center that was based in Haverstraw and at the RCC campus, and those have migrated now to the Rockland BOCES campus in Nyack. And so they're going to, and it's a good fit for us because we will be able to provide a lot of coordination with programming at Rockland BOCES, offer programming and funding to RCC, and work with our partners in the community. And we have a new staff that will be doing that. And we'll look forward to, Grace, I could probably even put you in contact with the new director so that perhaps you and the new director could brainstorm some ideas for how we could move forward, because they're going to be running the Career Center for a while.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. This is what I'm saying. I think that we all are learning from this, that together we're stronger. And instead of competing with each other, we should try to figure out how we can fit in each other's world and
Right.
share resources. I think that's also going to be big,
Yeah.
because the more we count on the state of New York and the more we count on the federal government, it just, funding has always been a problem, and it's getting to the point that social services are decreasing significantly to the people that need them just because the funding is not there. So if we can share resources, I think it would be better for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll send you an email afterwards with that information.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
And before we go into, and again, I'm very excited about the rapid fire piece, but I actually have a question. This goes to my background in web and social media and such. I noticed that various libraries across the RCLS have a differing presence on social media platforms. So has there been any dialogue about, I guess, internally about each of the libraries maybe increasing their community presence via social media? Because I'll give you an example, and I'm just going to go back several years in time. So in my backyard, literally, is the Rose Memorial Library up in Stony Point. So years ago, we had a wonderful director back in the day, Benjamin, and he was very active on social media, especially on Twitter. A little bit of Facebook. I actually wish that was reversed, because in this area, Facebook is where it's at, Twitter not so much. But I found that that differed from library to library. So has there been any dialogue about the increase of social media in the area?
Well, like I said to you in the beginning, we have 17 libraries in Rockland County, and every town is different. Yeah. Every town has a unique need. So I would say to you, the difference between the social media impact that every library has depends on their community. As you just pointed out, some communities care more about Facebook. Some communities care more about Twitter. Yes. Some communities don't care about either of them. They do Instagram. And so I will say to you that it will depend on the community that you're speaking of, what their social media impact is going to be, because in each one of them is different.
Yeah, absolutely. And every community, you're 100% right. Every community is very different in terms of demographics, choice of platform, 100%.
Yeah, in one county, you'll be amazed the difference. I mean, it's like night and day. I don't have to tell you folks, Rockland County is a very diverse community. You drive through Spring Valley, you get a different image as if you drive through Nyack. So yes, we're very lucky to live where we are. Absolutely.
Is a byproduct of my doing Friday forums at my home office is there is a train going by right now, but I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to close the window over there, and then we're going to go into our our rapid fire format. So here we go. Okay, we're back. Now, I'm very excited about this. This is a byproduct of the many, many, many different news shows that I watch on both ends of the spectrum. What I have tended to find, and Grace, we talked about this in advance, I tend to find there's always a lot of questions that individuals have, and since time doesn't permit very well to answer all of them, only a few really get addressed. So what we did is we collected a variety of questions from the North Rockland community, Clarkstown community, Pearl River community, various Facebook groups across Rockland. And they instant messaged several questions, and we have them available. So here they are. And what we'd like as a format is if you could just maybe briefly discuss them, typically about 1 minute or so. If you can, and then I'll put up my my hand when we get to like the 50-second mark so that it can be wound down to going to the next question. So, and thank you for participating in this. And here we go. All right, so the first question, is there a way to get a library card online, unable to use books through Overdrive without one?
Yes, if you go to the Libby app that Michelle just mentioned. The first question they ask you is if you have a library card or not. You press on the no, and then you go to the process of getting one, and you will have one in 2 minutes.
Excellent. Easy. Okay, next question. Are all libraries in the Ramapo Catskill Library System now open for curbside pickup?
The 17 libraries in Rockland County are. You just have to go to each of their websites and find out the hours, because the hours of availability are different for each library.
All right. And is there a primary Ramapo Catskill Library System website with a list of all those libraries individually?
Yeah, we should have, we have them. So the website is rcls.org. And if you go there, you will have libraries, member libraries. You see what says member libraries?
Libraries might be behind.
Right in the middle. And you click on Rockland County, and go up is in the tab.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And if you do Rockland County, that has every single library there, you go to their websites, and that will provide you with information. We are putting together a list, so it would be easier for users to know which library has curbside and what time.
Great. Number 3, can you rent ebooks through your library?
Yes, you can. You can do 2 things. You can do the Livy app, or you can do the RCLS Gateway app. If you do the RCLS Gateway app, you have access to e-content as well as print books.
Okay, excellent. And here's a few of those different services right here on the screen. Got a question from a community member. This actually went back a ways, but it got reposted again. The question was, why does $50 a month in taxes go to my library?
So when libraries are created, we're part of the education department. So when a library was created, they apply for a charter. The charter provides you with a region, what you, I would say a section of Rockland County that a library has to serve. That section, those households, there is a formula that the tax unit of Rockland County, the Department of Taxation of Rockland County has, and that is the formula that is used to have school taxes as well as library taxes. So it depends on where you live, the $50.
Gotcha. And that goes up and down depending on.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. What is a service of libraries that is not well known, but should be?
That is a good one. Ooh, there's a lot of them, so I'm not sure. Does everybody know Consumer Report? Consumer Report database is quite expensive for you to use and get a subscription. So if your washing machine goes kaput at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to figure it out what to buy tomorrow morning, visit a library's website. We have it and it's free to you.
That's excellent. I did not know that Consumer Reports was available through the library.
It's one of the subscriptions that all the libraries have within our system, and it's free to you. The only thing you need is a library card, and then you can research your washer machine, and then you walk in Home Depot and you buy the right thing the next morning.
Yeah. And as a side note, as I think about this, because we did some work with Jessica Bone, formerly of the Piermont Library, now the Nanuet Library, museum passes.
Yes, that's true. And the other one is if you want to learn a language throughout this time, we do have Rosetta Stone as well for free. For those folks that are helping businesses, you may want to consider that.
Especially international. What is the criteria for including a written publication, a book, in the library? I think that was from someone that wrote a book and is wondering.
Well, it depends on the library and is done by the librarian within the library. Each library has something that is called a collection development policy. So each library has a policy that will provide you a guidelines of what it is that we look at in order for a book to make it to the library. I will say I think there has been very small amount of books that have never made it at a library because that will be censorship.
Right.
And we don't do that.
Yeah, we don't want any Fahrenheit 451 going on. Okay, just a few more questions.
Well, you did tell me to make them a 1-minute answer, so I'm trying to be quick.
No, you're great. This is a dream come true. So I'm very happy about this. I mean, the whole idea is to make it conversational, but
Yep.
also have enough information to provide. You know, a few people had a few critical questions of our previous guest, which I have not included, and there's enough of that. The way that I look at it, there's enough, critical and sometimes character attacking questions. Leave it for another show. This is the sort of format where we can really kind of get our mission out, and also maybe just make it a comfortable conversation. Why not? A little bit of inside the actor's studio, if you will.
And I think you can skip number 7 because I think Michelle answered that one.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, that's good. I can talk to you about Hoopla. Hoopla is another venue to get ebooks. Not every library in Rockland County has it because it's a very expensive product. So and the reason why it's expensive because it depends on how many books you check out. So there's a price per book and per person. So I would say many libraries do have it. New City, I believe, has it. So I will say look in each of your local libraries' websites, and you will find other platforms for borrowing ebooks.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's definitely helpful. Now, and those are fairly up to date. It's not just titles from the 1970s.
No.
Like that.
I actually used that app. I used Hoopla to get The Millionaire Mind, and I used Libby to get The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, both on audiobook.
Excellent.
I love
Yes.
audiobooks.
It's funny because one app, I had to use both apps because one app didn't have the other, but the other one did, and vice versa.
Yes, they don't, that's the publishers. They don't share well.
Nate, and I'm a fan of that 7 Habits book. That's a great book.
Yeah, I'm several hours in already. I listened to it on my commute.
Cool.
You should try next. There's a book called The Habit. Just try that. That's the next book you should read. The Habit.
Just The Habit?
Yep. That's it's about how long does it take for you to change a habit. When you have a bad habit, how long would it take you to do it? And it's very interesting, very scientific.
Is it really 3 weeks? I mean, I think that's a little bit shy of what it really takes. I mean, 3 weeks to really start developing it, but it usually takes much longer than that, if I'm not mistaken.
According to what I've read, it takes 21 days to change a habit.
Huh. All right. I'm going to start drinking less coffee starting tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So we're just winding down. And Grace, I'm just curious because I see that picture behind you of an ocean landscape. What is that picture? I see 2.
That is an ocean. Ocean calms me down. It's very relaxing. Since we don't have a beach around here to look out. That's what I put the ocean behind me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the ocean, especially, and even the sound of the ocean, just the crashing of the waves, and hopefully we'll all get back there soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point in the future.
Any more quick questions?
That's it. That's it, really. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout, not just throughout this broadcast, but throughout the many months that you had to help to coordinate and prepare the libraries for what was to come. I know somewhat firsthand that it was daunting, and you had a lot of individual pieces to tie together in the puzzle. So much appreciated on that.
Yeah, but I mean that's what libraries do. We adjust depending on what the environment is. It's just the way we're built. But the last thing I want to leave folks with is please participate in the summer reading. Even though our doors are not going to be fully open to engage with folks person to person, we want you to participate in the summer reading. It's going to be very important for children to continue reading during the summer. And we have a lot of books. There's a lot of story time. There's a lot of activities that are happening. There's games. So please visit your local library, find out what they're doing this summer, and have your children and yourself engage. We have a lot of adult book discussions, and sometimes we need that. We need something else to get us out of what we do every day. And I think that is important, especially with mental health. I think it's important for us to think on that, think of how we are helping ourselves to get through this, right? Not just our work and our family, but what are we doing ourselves for ourselves to keep ourselves mentally healthy?
Grace Riario from the Ramapo Catskill Library System, Executive Director, thank you very much for being with us today. Much appreciative of your time. And feel free to join us, even just to chime in on a future Friday forum.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves.
Okay, you as well. Our next guest coming next week, very excited to be inviting Rockland County Executive Ed Day will be on our Friday forum next Friday, July 17th at 12:30 p.m. So if there are any questions that you would like to ask of our county executive, please email me, tom@rocklandwebdesign.com. I'll be collecting them all week. Again, I won't be able to get to everything. Please no critical questions. Use it for another forum for that. But let's find some really good forward-moving questions that we can ask of our county executive, because we are all in this together. I don't want to overuse the phrase, but we're all trying to work on positive development together. So that's it for now. Again, my name is Tom from the Workforce Development Board. As always, be safe, be healthy. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.